Alright guys, I'm back with another tutorial. This one, as you can see, I've made a few changes. I just basically added stuff to my second level, changed like the floor, because I didn't like it on this one. Still don't like it, but I like it a little better than the last one. Yeah, so great. And this floor right here, I've made some changes. Um, well, I actually didn't have anything for that floor before. And obviously just made my second level. One of the things I definitely learned is when you make your bottom floor and you subdivide the plane, do a Shift D and go along the Z-axis so that you know that your second level will line up exactly with your first level. So you don't have to do some weird little changes. I wanted to have like an open air room of some kind, although still have like a maze part of it. So that's there. Probably not the best level, but hey, I wanted to get started because it's just me. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on one thing. I want to make sure the proof of concept works. So it's there. It's a maze, and I'm gonna have them get out right over here, and they just have to reach that area without getting killed. So fairly simple. But before we get too in depth about getting everything working with our game, oh, by the way, I did add the tree here. Might tweak it a little bit there because that doesn't look great, but I have my little root system all twined in here, so fancy, fancy. It reaches into that side as well. So, um, what we're going to do, because you want to be able to walk around your level so that you know it looks good, we're going to go ahead and create the FPS camera rig, I guess, um, since we want to explore our level, make sure it walks well and everything. And I don't want to sit there with a camera and kind of like fly through it because that's just no fun. You want to be able to walk through it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and recreate. I have it open in my other thing here. Recreate how it's made. I'm going to try and actually make a few changes on the fly to mine that I think I would have to do in the end anyway. So what we're going to do is um, we'll just let's tab out edit mode, hide that, and then just I think I may wanted this to be our start room, so we're going to go ahead and first off hide those, go back to object mode, and we're going to do Shift A, add a camera, and oh, I thought I had those. Whatever. I'm going to scale it down because it's much too big, and we're also going to turn on screencast keys, and all right, let's see. Let's get down a little more, maybe. Oops. And then let's move it about. Let me see. I want a guy to be about that tall, so. Let me see. This is a little rotate a little bit. So what I want to do is make the rotation 0. I just kind of want it to. Let's change all the rotations to 0, and then we're going to go from there. All right. So we're going to rotate along the y-axis. 90, and then we're going to rotate along the x-axis, negative 90, nope, rotate along the x 90. Alright, so now it's actually fairly centered, so we're going to go ahead and put it right about there. Then we're going to create kind of their body, and that's essentially, I had it in two pieces, like the legs and then the torso. I think what I'm going to do is create just the quote-unquote legs, and that's just going to be the collision box for the entire thing. So what we're going to do is do Shift A, then we're going to add a mesh cube. First we're going to do Shift S, and we're going to do cursor to selected, and then we're going to do Shift A, add mesh cube. I'm going to scale it down, scale it along the Z, move it down, Scale it down along the Z, I guess, a little bit. Well, that's supposed to be the eyes technically as the camera, so let's see, it's about, yeah, we can scale it up along the Z. Alright, so that's our little person collision box right there. Scale it down just a little bit. And what I like to do is go over to, I think, no, object, obviously, and then do display type is wire, and that just makes it wired because I don't want to see the stupid thing. It's just supposed to be a collision box. So go into physics, and this should be a, let me double check, dynamic, and I put invisible on it usually so that it doesn't show up. And I think for mass I bumped that up a little bit just so we know it has some mass. I'm not sure how well that corresponds to the real world, but usually for damping as well, so you don't like bounce off of walls, you have to put it like 0.9 or whatever, because if you put it all the way up, it apparently, well, I've tested it, you don't fall off if you don't fall off edges, which kind of is pointless. So and then what we're going to do is put this in a collision group, and the collision mask can collide with everything except what's in that layer. So we're going to put collision bounds, and we're going to make that a box. And also this little thing right here, compound, definitely going to check that. That's important, especially since we're going, you'll find out in a little bit, we're going to have parented objects and all that. So alright, and then this right here is, I believe, you'll notice it's very large. One of the things that always gets you with the Blender game engine is pretty much with every single thing, you always have to get Control A, and you have to apply rotation and scale. And usually that makes that go away. I don't know. Can't say I'm an expert with this. Alright. Next we're going to, we'll just add the controls to that now. What this is used for is used to do your walk, or at least that's how I use it. So let's go back into the game logic and stuffing out all this. Alright. Then we're going to go back to this. And this is your game logic setup. There's sensors, controllers, and actuators. And essentially all that these things do is, and the sensors usually sense something like a ray, a touch, near, that. And these are Boolean operators or Python. So you can do and or all those. Then actuators usually do actions of some kind in the game engine. So we'll cover a lot of those during our stint here. But for this one, we're just doing a basic walk, like WASD. That's all we're going to do for now. So we're going to add sensor, and we're going to add a keyboard. And usually all you do is click a key here and then hit W, and then that means move forward. So we're going to do add extra motion, and we're just going to do simple motion. And these axes are kind of the way it moves. You'll see the red back is X, Y, Z. So be usually think positive, and then negative would be the other way. So for the forward motion, we're going to do, I think, X. Let me see. So this would be Y, so X and Z. So we should do, let me see. Yeah, and let's try this out. Hit P. Let's not hit P. Oh, you know why? Where's our other camera? Let's go back to default. Let's just delete that. I think that means that. Well, I still don't think that makes a difference. It shouldn't. Oh, I know what. Of course. Alright, let's hit play. Change this to not be invisible. Hit play. And it's not moving me. Oh, boy. This is awkward. Go back to game logic. You notice we did our motion here. What you have to do is drag this over. And there you go. Great little mistake to start things out. I can tell it's going to go well. Alright, let's try and get back in there. You know what, screw this. This is not the way you're supposed to do it. Oops. Hit M, move them to the second layer, and this is the way you're supposed to do it. That was just ridiculous. Let's add a plane. Let's add a light lamp, point lamp. Alright, this is the way you're supposed to do it. No more messing around with that bull crap. Alright, there you go. It moved forward, as you can see. Much too fast, so... Alright, and that's the important part right there. You need to look at these axes and say, you know, Z is up, X is that way, Y is that way. And that's local, it goes by local axes there, so... let's do 0.05. Let's see how fast that goes. You gotta get, it all depends on your scale too, so... and that went backwards. Oh, because I forgot the negative. So if you hit play, forward, still seems kind of fast. If we move that to the first layer, nope. Yeah, let's do something really simple here. Click on that, right click on that, Control P, set parent to object. That's just going to make things easier. Let's go hit 0 on the numpad, hit play, and you can see we're going forward. So if we back out, select those two, move them to the first layer, go to the first layer, go into our camera, hit play, hit W. I mean, is that too fast? Let's see. Cabrón. Can't select this camera. There we go. Well, it's hard to tell. I think it's a little bit too fast, so let's go ahead and zero two. Alright, fair enough. Good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright. So that's W, that's just the simple motion right there. Very simple. Then all we're going to do is add another sensor, keyboard, A, and then we're going to add motion. That would be Y on the negative axis of 0.03. And add another keyboard sensor. S is going to be, I don't know, Add another motion. This is going to be on the x-axis again, but it's going to be 0.03 because that's positive motion on that axis. And then we're going to add a sensor keyboard, and it's going to be, nope, it's not going to be that, it's going to be D. Add motion, and then D is going to be on the y-axis, positive 0.03. I believe so. Let's see, double check. This one, WA, I think this one has to be negative. Let's go back, change that. Alright. And then name these. Just go W, A, S, D. Forward, left, LEFT. There we go. Back and right. Alright, very simple. This you can find in a million different tutorials, so just make sure we have it all right. Can't see which. Okay, that's definitely working right. Alright, everything's good there. Next thing here gets a little bit more complicated. We're going to need to be able to obviously look around. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be done with a Python script, and we are not going to recreate a mouselook script. There's no point. It's been done a million times, and I found a good one that really, really works. And we're going to do a movement. I'm going to add a controller, Python. Did I do something wrong here? Do I have to have a Python thing in there first? That could be. And this Python script is, I'll put a link in the description. It's like, it's by Ryuziksan. I'll post a link. And it's a really good one that I found. Let me paste it in. mouselook.py, and all you need to do is download it and paste that in, and then that's your mouselook script, and I'll show you how we're going to control it. There's the name right there. So maybe now it should work. Why is it not letting me add a Python controller? Make sure I don't have anything. By the way, the camera, put it in the collision group here. And wow, alright, let me try and figure out what went wrong here while I pause and come right back. Well, that was odd. I don't know if you could never do this, but I just added, just anything on there, then drag and drop it, and it added it there, which I figured it would. So, and we just Python, and we're gonna call it mouselook, and our script is going to be mouselook.py. So, so we can go ahead and, as you can see, both. If you select both of them at once, you can see. Oh, look, they all showed up. They just weren't refreshing. Well, that's crazy. Wow. I'm not sure if that's a bug or what. Anyway, so I deleted one too many hands. Look at that, and it worked just fine. See? Ha. Alright, let's see. No, whatever. Don't care. Alright. So let's grab both of these and move them to the first layer. I don't know if it moves children if you just move the parent. Who knows? Probably. We'll find out. Alright, so then just go ahead and go into here, hit play, and as you can see, you can start walking through your level. Collision doesn't work very well. As you can see, we'll work on that in a second. It's a little jerky. Hold on, let's go ahead and show debug properties. And show frame rate and profile. Nope. Then you can look at this and see what's taking up. Rasterizer is taking up a lot. Overhead is, well, I'm recording this. It's probably the overhead. Alright. So as you can see, you can now walk through your level. Well, it is jerky. That is really jerky. I'm not quite sure why. Oh, that's not right. I'll have to work on that. Alright. So that's how you would be able to. Wow, let me see. I don't think backface culling apparently isn't turned on. That's something I should probably turn on so that we can. I swear it's always in here when I'm. There we go. No. Yep. Yes. There we go. Let's go ahead and see if that makes any difference. Not much. The rasterizer is still at around 90. It's jerky. Something I'll definitely have to try and figure out because I'm not quite sure why that's jerky. As you can see, there's still some issues with collision. But alright, so let's go ahead and move on. Well, it was very simple to figure out. When I'm running my recording software, it goes slow and goes jerky. When I'm not running it, it runs fine. So, alright. Now, as you're running through, you will immediately notice a problem. Or you may immediately notice a problem. And that's, you don't really run into walls. And there's a few ways to solve this. Most of them are the wrong way. One of them is you can turn down the motion here to really, really low. Let's say 0.1. And then when we play this, I'm really hoping I can see this when I hit play. Yeah, when you play this, let's turn this and go forward, you'll hit the wall, but if you go sideways, oh wait, let me see sideways. Let me see, did I change that one too? Let's see. Yeah, if you go that way, you will fall through. Because you're going too fast for the bullet engine to see that you're going to hit the wall. So, oh yeah, I did change that one as well when I was messing around with things. So that's why I wouldn't go through. But because when you're doing the motion, simple motion, it's technically just a bunch of little teleports. So the bullet physics engine will say, hey, it's teleporting, it goes through the wall and goes, oh, wait, that's not supposed to happen. And I'm sorry, but I made you just do that for nothing, because the better way to do it is with the servo control and linear velocity. So with this one, we would do, say, I'm not exactly sure how this calculates. I know there's you can change some of these, but I think one was a good negative, obviously. -1 was a good way to go. And then you'll notice if we pop into here, we can go through it pretty, let's say, to prove my point, let's go ahead and turn it up to, say, 10. So -10. So really fast, and we won't fall through. I mean, the camera will go through because the camera is out in front of it, but go through, you're not going to fall through. You're gonna really? That really had to go and do that? Let me just put it this way. It's a lot harder to fall through. Because the servo control works differently. Really? Okay. So pissed right now. Alright, so with it on 10, really? Really? Actually, I don't. Oh, whatever. Hit play. It's going to be harder to fall through with the actuator because it calculates it much better in the game engine. Not that you won't always fall through, especially when you're going 10, but it'll be a lot harder to go through. Now, you'll notice it has, its own inertia, the gliding effect that people don't want. So there is, I did hear there's a way to do a server control stop, so we'll look into that. But let's set it back to something more realistic, like I think 1 or 1.5. Should probably make that negative. It's probably about what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and go back into the camera. And as you can see, that's probably about the same speed we're getting from our 0.3 or point whatever. Oh. 0.3 or 0.01. And you can see you can sort of walk through. And it works pretty much the exact same way. The gliding effect is obviously a lot less at this speed. And since we're not, if we put in like a shift, running speed, we might notice more of a slowdown, like a skate. But as you can see, it's a lot better for collisions. And we'll obviously add another collision block for like the camera, so that the camera doesn't go through the wall. And we bump into it beforehand, but well, kind of like whatever that was doing. But all right, and so that is that. So I would recommend using servo controls over, and I wonder, these might actually, I'll have to look into those a quick second and get back with you guys if that might help us with our sliding problem.
Alright guys, back, and I don't think those values really have anything to do with the gliding. I did do a little bit of research, and there is a way to do a server control stop. It requires states, so this is going to go to our advanced movement and FPS tutorial, so that'll be for a later date. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and set up the server controls at 1.5 and go from there, because that should be enough. It works fairly well without much gliding at all, much like you would experience in real life. So I think that's probably fine for now. So we'll go ahead and I'll pause and be right back as we change all these to servo controls with velocity. So alright, so we have that all set up, so when we go in we will be able to move using servo controls. So and we could always, I think it's possible, we should be able to animate the camera or the block to move up and down slightly, as if we're going up and down as we walk. So we can always, yeah, that would definitely would not be the camera. That would be the block. So, and I still, my normal maps just look horrible. I'm not sure. I really don't know how to get those to look right without with them actually having an effect, because I can turn it all the way down and it won't look bad, but it won't really have much of an effect either. So I'll keep working on that. So after we have the basic WASD key movement and our mouse look, let's go ahead and look at some of the issues with our mouse look script. Right now, if we look down, we can look all the way around, which you can't do in real life, and so that's not something that we really want. So what we can do is this mouse look script provides a great way to control how far you can look up and down. It's using the, I believe it's the cap function. So if we're on the camera, all we have to do is add a game property. We're going to call it cap. Make sure you call exactly that, CAP, capital C. And then change it to an integer, and then type 70. Man, that's a little bit small. Let's go ahead and... So as you can see, add game property cap integer 70. So now when we go ahead and we hit play, we can only look so far down before we hit a bump, and so far up before we hit a wall right there that we can't look past. So that's really nifty. That's a really nice function of this. Now let's go ahead and take a look at one more issue that will come up. So let's go ahead and play it from here. If I can see it, yeah. So you'll notice that, oh no, that is turning. Okay. I had a slightly different setup where I had two boxes, and I think the problem was one of the boxes would not turn with it. So let's go ahead and see. Let me just check something. Well, in my last setup of this, I needed to add a tutorial, or a property on my cube called dmove. Make it Boolean and hit check there, because what would happen is I would have my arms and gun, out to the front, and I would turn, and this cube would not turn. The mouse look script would just work on the camera, I guess. But I mean, it seems to be working fine this way, so I'm not sure exactly what's changed. I did set up the script initially in 2.64, I believe, so I don't think that would have made any difference, but oh well. So that's good, I guess. I'm just going to leave the dmove property there, and since it doesn't seem to affect anything at all, so let's go ahead and, so that's pretty much that basic setup. Now we're going to add something else. Basically what you see in every FPS is, your arms and a gun, so that you can see yourself walking around. So to do that, I've already created a armature and a mesh and and a shotgun, all those sorts of things. So I'm just go ahead and append those. Let me pause while I do this, since it's just going to be a bunch of clicking. So if you have one set up, I would recommend you go ahead and import that now. Most of you probably don't. We'll cover that in a later tutorial. Unfortunately, we're gonna get this set up first, and then we'll cover character creation and stuff like that. All right, so I have these imported. However, as you can tell, they're way too big. So we're gonna have to do a few things. First off, we're gonna scale this by, or actually first we're going to go to our bone constraints and go back to default view. And gun rig, and we're going to go to spaz.control, check our bone. Right now it's child of right there. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that for the time being, and then scale it down 0.5. Might have to scale down further. Scale this down. Make sure it's the same 0.5. Let's go ahead and, oops, bring that over. There we go. And that's obviously still way, way, way too big. So let's scale this again by 0.5 maybe. Let me see. Scale it 0.5. That might be about right. Let's go ahead and rotate along the Z, 90, negative, and turn on screencast keys. I always forget that. And face it up. That looks about right. So let's grab that. Scale 0.5, enter. Scale 0.5, enter. Alright. So, looks like that is, let's go take a look through here. Might scale it down just a tiny bit more. I'm going to scale it by 0.9. Alright. I think we'll call that good. It's not horrible. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take this and shift click the camera, Control P, parent it to the object so that we have it, it will follow the camera when the camera moves. So the next thing we're going to do is create a, well, first let's get this shotgun here into the arms of our person. This is why I like creating things in the same blend file. Just makes things easier to me. I mean, all your models, all your static meshes, I would, throw in different blend files. That I would definitely do. However, stuff like this, there's just so many issues importing and getting all, at least for me, all set up. So let's go ahead and, now usually what I do is in pose mode I add bone constraints and stuff like that. That's not going to work for the game engine. So what you have to do is select your frickin', there we go. And then we're going to go into, actually we're just going to select these bones right there. Excuse me, we'll get this all worked out. Those right there, select those right there. Control P, parent to object. And then what we can explicitly do is go into here and then go bone, parent it to the bone, and do palm, right? And then what we're going to do now is, one of the big gotchas is hit Control A, apply rotation and scale to all those. Let's go ahead and delete this out for a second. Okay, so we apply the rotation and scale on that. And then another big gotcha is the modifier. So let's go to the mesh and go to modifiers. I have two armatures. Okay, that one's disabled. Subserve disabled. Okay, so kind of clean it out as much as possible, and you might have to apply that. I've had to do that in the past. Also in GL, I did this in multi-texture shading. GLSL, it's not quite the same. So let's go ahead and turn off the ramp on that. Still doesn't look great, but looks better at least. So let's go and this, let me see, the scale is not applied. Let's apply just scale. Nope. Not sure why it doesn't like me. I'm sure there's probably a reason. Let me see. Alright, well let me try and pause and figure this out.
Alright guys, in retrospect, fairly simple. My IK bones were not parented, so that's obviously going to cause issues. But what I had to do is I had to parent them, but then just scaling object mode will do the exact same thing. So what you got to do is you have to go into pose mode and scale it down there, and then you can go to object mode and I believe apply it that way. However I did that, that was annoying in any case. So I have those parented now, and I have this all scaled down. Now what you need to do is select your gun armature. Oh, that looks bad. Whatever, I might have to take a look at that. Select your gun armature. Son of a... Alright. Go over here, and this bone right here, it's a spaz.control. I just have a control bone. It's used for parenting and, you know, moving the whole gun. So parent is going to be female arms rig, and then you're going to change it to bone, and the bone is going to be palm. Alright. So now that's effectively parented, and there's always issues. Hold on, we'll get that figured out. Alright, got that straightened out. For some reason it scaled it down when I set it as a child object. Not sure why. I think when I was doing this before originally it didn't have that issue. Whatever. This is why Blender kind of sucks, is things like this. The origin, it's impossible to get it correct. You have to sit there and try and click with your 3D cursor, because origin to geometry never works. Origin to anything else never really works. So you have to sit there and try and click with your 3D cursor, and then set origin to 3D cursor. No idea why that doesn't work correctly. And of course the weird issues with scaling and stuff like that. But alright, whatever. Seems like we finally got the parent set. And the reason I did it parent in here instead of an IK is because it doesn't seem to work in the game engine. So I just changed it to parent female arms rig, changed it to bone, and did right palm. That way, when things move in pose mode or in the game engine. So I managed to get this clicked. Kind of move with it. So, alright, so that took a lot of time there. Let's go back into object mode. And we're going to move this down so that it's going to be under the camera. So let's go ahead and rotate it along the Z 90 negative. And move it underneath the camera. Since this is going to be the hip configuration, we're going to move it down a little bit. Alright, and this is supposed to be in his right hand on the right side, so let's go ahead and there we go. That should be low enough. Let's go ahead and move it out just a tiny bit. I think it's a little bit too far in. Let's change that back to textured. Alright, it's not parented yet, but that's another thing. When you hit play, a lot of the armature things don't go correctly, so let's go back into here. I think this one actually had issues because it had go into the mesh, go to your modifiers, and it has, because I was messing around, it has multiple, so just apply or exit them. Leave the last, I'm hoping the last modifier, the armature modifier, will work correctly. Let's find out. Alright, good. So, as you can see, well, there's problems because I did this in multi-texture and it's in GLSL, and that's odd. They're not overlapping there. I think it's duplicating it somehow. All these little things that you just don't know for sure. Let's see. It is somehow something's going on there. And that, of course, is still massive. Don't know why. I applied the scale, location, all that sort of thing, so. Let's save that. Alright, after messing with some of my material settings, it looks a lot better. Doesn't look quite as like it's sticking through, so which is good, although I still have issues with it, but I mean, it's looking better. It's closer, so the next thing we're going to do here is parent this, and what we'll do is we'll parent it to the camera so it moves with wherever you look. So we're going to go ahead and choose that armature. Right click, Control P, Object, and then when you go in, your shotgun will move with you so that when you're going to the level. And that looks about right, I think, for like hip level if you're bringing a shotgun with you. So I think we'll stick with that for now, and then I don't, these origin points, who knows? I'm pissed at them. They never work. Nothing ever seems to work with that. So alright, yeah, if anyone knows some magical way to get those to work correctly, let me know, because I sure don't. Well, now that works. Okay. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do is add a collision box, and that's going to be for your arms, because if you'll notice, when we go to play, you can stick your shotgun right through a wall, and along with yourself. So we're going to solve that. We're going to usually just go ahead and do Shift D, rotate along the y-axis 90, negative, scale it, go upscale, well, let's see, scale along the X, scale a little more along the X, move it a little bit along the Y. We have to hit apply, rotation and scale. Go to the physics tab and everything should be pretty much set up for the physics tab. So now when we, nope, not quite all set up. This box here needs to make sure collision group, collision mask, and this needs to be collision group and collision mask. That means that all of this needs to be collision group and collision mask. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, let's go ahead and try that. Did I change that to invisible? Let's go ahead and do that. Then you should be able to bounce off. Oh, look at me. It just didn't seem to work. Alright, let's see. Let's go back into our box. Put it to that. Let's do that again. It's still not. It's bouncing off something. Hold on, let me take a look at this. Well, one issue was immediately apparent. I did not parent it to the main box, which I do need to do. And now we can go ahead and play it and see what that does. That might be a little better there. So let's go and make that invisible. And what did I make invisible? Alright, odd. Let's make that invisible. Play. And now I really hope, yes, there we go. Now you won't be able to walk through walls, your shotgun will. I mean, there's a little bit of clipping, you can always change that if you really want, but now you'll be able to walk down the hall and not walk through it or anything like that. So, another one of the issues you'll notice with the way we have our movement set up, well, it'll be hard to notice because it is really jerky when I'm recording, is when you push against the wall and then kind of move past it, you'll have an acceleration. We can solve that once we do our advanced movement tutorial. So, well, that took a while. For some reason, it was easier setting up the other one, and then I didn't even know what I was doing at all. So, but at least we have the basics all set up there. So, what we're going to cover in the next tutorial is adding a little bit of animation and stuff like that. So, all right, until next time, I will see you later.